what we're going to do is we're going to talk to people. We're going to discuss different weather topics, and just kind of get behind the weather a little bit, and really kind of go over some things with you. And I think you guys will really like it. So one thing I want to do too, and what I think we should do is invite people in to ask questions on Twitter and things like that. We'll have questions as we come into these, and then we'll have obviously guests on the show. We'll ask questions to those guys, and we just kind of again talk weather again, because like you said, there's a lot of things out there that people think they know that they don't, and there's a bad problem out there of just how meteorologists and weather and is perceived in general, and
a lot of misinformation.
Yeah, a lot of that can be due to the media and things like that. So definitely something that I think will be a good topic of conversation for sure. So how are we doing? Sounds good, Nathan?
Great.
It's good? All right, perfect.
Fantastic.
Good deal. So we get some of you guys can kind of chime in here, but a topic that I thought was, interesting is one of our clients had talked about. It messaged me the other day and said, "What is the difference there between that USDA drought monitor? What goes into that drought monitor? Why does it show what it shows? And what is the USDA drought monitor? I mean, what do you guys? What's your input on that?"
I think it's a good way of showing where it's dry. The problem is two things.
You're muted.
Okay.
Hang on, Kirk's muted.
The kinks worked out. Okay. Problem is with the drought monitor, it shows where it's dry for sure. The other issue is though it's all brought together on Tuesday, but not released until Thursday. So if it rains on Tuesday to Thursday, it's behind on the 8 ball. So, and another thing is it may take in long-term drought. Is it short-term drought? I think it's used too heavily versus, say, percent of normal rainfall over the past 7 days or 30 days or whatever. So I think it's a tool. I don't think it's the tool.
Yeah, I don't think it's gospel. I mean, I don't think it should be treated as such. It certainly is, unfortunately. But like Kirk said, I think the big thing is the short-term changes. It comes out Thursday morning, you get a big rainfall on Tuesday, and people are like, why is it still showing severe drought? What's going on? And, as we progress deeper into, different weeks, that might start showing up. But, unfortunately, the market and other folks react to what it shows, and it's not exactly correct all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I was telling the client, I'm afraid to test the screen share, but I'm going to do it. Go for it. Let's test it out. So I was telling a client, I think it's important when you're looking at these drought monitors and you're trying to use it for ag specifically. You can't, because like you said, it's delayed. It doesn't have the latest data in it, but the drought monitor is not built for agriculture. It's not just for ag.
Yeah. Exactly. But it seems like that's what it's used for the most. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tool.
Let's see here. Let me share my
and draw a little bit.
Let's see. How am I a presenter here? How do we present me, Brian?
Make a presenter.
I don't have the option to. Hang on, guys. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. This one?
Show
PowerPoint.
Ooh, here we go.
Okay. Oh, I see
Perfect.
it. Nice.
You see it? All right. So
make sure you're describing, since everybody won't be watching necessarily.
Yeah. So for you folks that are not actually watching the podcast, and you're going to be listening to this just through the actual audio, is it showing up? What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain this. It might be the other one. I'm going to explain kind of how when you look at these maps, how they're different. So here's the latest drought monitor on the left. Okay, on the left, we're looking at the Dakotas specifically. I'm focusing on that. And what you can see here with the Dakotas is you have an or excessive drought here, pretty severe drought in the Dakotas. Okay. But you go over here and you look at the Dakotas on the 60-day percent of normal precipitation, which takes us back to late July, which in some cases may have even gotten into pollination for folks. So even though you're in this drought, which you're not going to deny that it's been dry over the course of the summer.
Yeah.
But even though you're in this drought, your 60-day percent of normal precipitation is 150 to 250%.
Yep.
Excuse me. So while it may not be actually erasing the drought, it's during the time frame that the vegetation or the plant needed to drink, it got it.
It was a lot better.
Yeah.
And
False representation.
I think that's why you're seeing people, well, yields are better than expected right now. And, we didn't think they would be this good. Well, we don't forecast yields and we don't discuss them.
Right.
I don't care what they are. But I think there was rain in times where it was crucial.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah. I definitely think it's just a perception is a reality thing. So, and everything that you see on Twitter is the worst of the worst or the best of the best. And it's like backyarditis, unfortunately. And it's
exactly
not how it is as a whole. So that's my opinion on it. I think you don't see what's actually going on because not everybody has Twitter, obviously. So.
Right. Yeah. I think exactly. I was going to say backyarditis. That I like that word. Everybody's guilty of it, even if you don't want to be. It's what you see out in your field or whatever is what you see, and it's what you're experiencing. And I think that's an interesting bridge between weather and individual fields, and we'll obviously talk with Bill about that a little bit more. But I thought it's a really unique perception, reality, and how that's all related.
Yeah. One thing, a friend of mine, Al, who's messaged me on Twitter, says Southwest Wisconsin is drier than the drought monitor shows. And that is also a legit point.
It is.
Because, you look at your 60-day percent of normal, you've probably only had about 50%, maybe a little bit less normal of precipitation in the last 60 days.
Yep.
But you've also got the drought ongoing here. And so you really haven't had much of any rain.
Yeah. Whole Midwest.
Yeah, for a while. And this area here has actually been getting drier for quite some time.
Yeah.
It really has.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm living right here, and a lot of folks are harvesting right now. And I'm living in central Indiana because I got to remember, guys, this is an audio for a lot of people. But, a lot of folks are harvesting right now in clouds of just dust.
That's all it is dust.
It's bone dry here.
Yep.
I mean, some of this stuff was late planted.
Yeah.
And they're harvesting. It's not even October.
No.
Yep.
So the drought monitor, there's a lot of weight put on that thing. And there really shouldn't be.
No. For the purposes of ag. It's just a drought is way more than agriculture. It's just there's so much more that goes into it than rainfall.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so you've got this D2, D3 level drought up here in the North Plains, but it's been awfully wet up there.
Look at Indiana. The entire state is in a drought right now. I mean, it is bad for sure. So
we've been very dry. I mean, to say that it cuts off in west central Indiana is I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
And you go outside and pound on the ground out here, and it's hard as a rock.
You could go out and make angels like it's snow outside. It's so dusty.
Nathan, why don't you tweet the link a little bit more? Tweet the link again, get us going out there. So I'm going to check Twitter real quick, guys, and I'm just going to see if anybody's tweeting any questions.
Yeah, tweet your questions.
If anybody's attending, and
No,
Sorry.
go ahead. No, you're fine. All you, man.
Some guy said audio's horrible. Yeah, we're working on that. If you're still listening, it should all be better. So that was 12 minutes ago.
I think one thing to make sure on your end is if you guys are, because it says that both of you are talking because you're so close to each other. So it might be, I don't know how muting one of your mics when the other one's talking would go. That's super annoying, I can imagine, but I don't know.
We just use one mic.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's solve your problem right now. All right.
I'm pretty loud.
Mute,
boy.
mute your mic there.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try
Oh,
that.
look at that. Much better.
Maybe that'll make it a little bit better. So someone said on Twitter, Sim Angus, not sure what what your name is there, but says that drought monitors forecasts are the differences in La Nina and El Nino patterns. I don't know. Maybe you could elaborate on that for me. I don't know what that means.
I have no idea.
Connected.
They're not connected in any way, shape, or form, but I don't know if that's what he means.
Yeah,
he may not
true.
mean that. So maybe if you could give me a little bit of clarification, I'd love to discuss that on there for you.
That's another good
You know, and the problem is with the drought monitor is folks that are not well-rounded on it, they may even think it's a forecast at some point, you know, where you see on the map where it says S or SL, you know, you're looking at short-term or long-term effects. You know, you're looking at like this S in Illinois is a short-term effect of the on the drought.
Yeah.
You know, it's a short-term. It's
You can get one big 2-inch rainstorm and
then it's gone.
it's gone.
Right.
You know, so I think that's something that's obviously needs to be taken into consideration as well. This is observation.
Yeah.
Can't hear. Is the gain up? Any better way to do it or no?
Just plug my back in.
Okay. So, you know, that's subject on the drought situation, guys. In my opinion, in the vegetation, in during key growing times, it's very important to look at precipitation in the window that it's needed, not what has occurred or what may come, but what came down in that 2-week time frame. What's the percentage of normal in that 2-week time frame? Yeah. And you got to think too, the crops in North Dakota can grow on a lot less water
Sure seems like it.
than they can in, you know,
Or in Nebraska,
Yeah.
they're irrigated. Not the entire field is irrigated, but that is, you have to consider that too. Where is it irrigated? Where is it not? You know, that's
this would be a great question for Bill. I know when Bill hops on, I feel like you're still muted. I feel like the everybody thinks that you can get this stuff right down to the backyard of where you're at. You know, well, the weatherman said this at this point in time. You know, I had a guy ask me the other day, sent me a Twitter message, and he said that the news said we were going to get, you know, a ½ inch of rain, and we got 2 to 4 inches.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
And you know, you cannot forecast down to an address.
No.
You can't.
Zip code.
It just that kind of technology just doesn't exist. And you can't analyze rainfall that's fallen down to an address. I've seen everybody, yeah,
Yes.
I've seen everybody this year say, okay, your map, if I would have gotten as much rain as your map said, I'd have a lot more rain.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's not how the map works.
It's a general area.
Yeah.
General map. Yeah.
Exactly.
At least for free. You know, they do have,
Yeah.
you know, different programs that I've talked to a lot of different guys that use that can, you know, estimate down to the field. But at the end of the day, is the model really that high resolution? You know what I mean?
It's an estimate.
Not. It's an estimate, and it always will be.
Yep. So let's see. This gentleman says La Nina, El Nino are cyclic and affect the weather long term.
Sure.
The drought monitor maps are a result of a cyclic changes of the above.
I honestly don't know if that has anything to do
I mean,
with it.
yeah, like if you think about it, I mean, think about La Nina and El Nino in general. Look at last winter. Last winter was supposed to be going into that, you know, weak La Nina. Then you have this huge Pacific jet that kind of messed everything up, right? I mean, so discussing in terms of a single index is tough to do, especially with respect to, you know, something that's so, you know, complex and down to a very small. Get a thunderstorm last week or whatever, or it hasn't been getting the thunderstorms, while right down the road you're doing just fine. So it's tough.
The other thing that the other thing that makes this tough, and like I said, I'm going to talk to Bill about this, but is these free weather apps. Download the app and put in your zip code, and we're going to forecast the rain down to you out to day 15.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what is the best? Is this a proper podcast?
I don't
being proper.
I don't think we should be. I think we should be
to a point.
I think it's horse shit.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you. I mean, let's be honest for a second here. You want to put these apps out, and you want to make decisions on your farm or on your business, plowing snow or whatever it is that you're doing.
Major League Baseball.
You are nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, you're nuts. You cannot do that.
You get
Not
it,
to
you
mention
get in what you put in.
Yeah,
not to mention these apps are updating constantly. So you might, especially during a snow squall or a thunderstorm, as things kind of adjust, they're updating every couple minutes. And you might be looking at it at 11. It's 11:27. You got an 87% chance of rain. You look at it again at 11:30 when the new run comes in, and you're screwed. It's gone. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And not to mention, it's normally all based off of the GFS or something. And it's
It's a computer.
The apps have ruined. Oops, Jesus, I'm punching things. The apps have ruined the reputation of a meteorologist. I mean, they really have, because everybody thinks, I've got this free thing on my phone, or I've got the weather service, or I've got I watch my local TV guy, and all he does is take one of those colorful RPM maps and plaster that up. So I mean, it's
the problem with free weather apps is they're good enough. They're good enough for your regular average person that just needs some kind of temperature. But when you're making $1,000 decisions off of a free weather app, and you need 4 hours to go out and spray, that weather app is never going to be able to pinpoint if it's going to rain the right percentage. That's where you need to talk to somebody. That's the benefit of what we do.
Yeah, I mean, think about if you're dealing with a rain snow line, and you're out there plowing, and the app says it's going to change over to rain at 11, and something changed. Now it's going to be at 2. That's 3 hours times however many people you got, as a part of your operation. And it's crazy. It's
money.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
So we got Bill in. Can you hear me, Bill?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Been enjoying. Hey, congratulations, launching a podcast. That's really cool, guys. Congrats on that. And don't worry about the technical difficulties. You'll have it, but 6 months from now, you'll just swing right through this. There won't be any problems at all.
That's right. That's right. We put this together in 24 hours, Bill. We just put this together. We just said, hey, let's do it, man.
Hey, I congrats though on doing it. I really think more people should do what you're doing, because I think that there's a ton of knowledge out there. And, always before you had to be picked up by somebody or get recognized by somebody. And now, you can just go out there and do it. And if what you're putting out there is good quality content, you will get people following you and listening to you, and actually, build your brand, build your business, and actually help people. It's great.
Absolutely. Yeah,
That's
man,
that's
absolutely. For those of you guys who don't know who's talking, that's Bill Graff, and he's popular for doing the Breakfast with Bill on Twitter. You can follow him on Twitter, and be sure to show him some love as well. We're going to ask Bill some questions. Bill, tell us a little bit. What is it? I know you're always talking ag, and you've got great insight. I love watching what you do. What is it that you do, Bill?
Well, my wife got me started. We just farm. Now, years ago, I worked for the government. I'm actually been a past presidential appointee, as scary as that is for some people, and done a lot of other stuff. And but we've always farmed. Families had a farm for years. I mean, it's we some of my ancestors moved in here in 1808. So been here quite a while. Well, my wife, and you may know her as Farming Wife. She's real active on social media, Twitter. I mean, if you need a social media manager, you probably ought to get her to do it. But we would get together with people, and she's like, I wish I had a recording to that because everybody needs to hear what you guys were talking about. And I'm like, well, it's just, what we were talking about, and so one thing led to another. I started doing podcasts. Then the Twitter came out with the Periscope app and started doing Periscopes. And one thing led to another. Every morning at 7:30 a.m. Central Time, well, not every morning. I take Sundays off, 6 days a week. We try to talk about something going on in agriculture. And, there's generally always something going on in ag that we talk about. So on my Farm and Ranch Country website, I got podcasts up. We do a few YouTube videos. We do a little bit of Facebook Live. We do a little bit of Facebook posting, but mainly the Breakfast with Bill. But, and we talk weather a lot. Doggone it, guys. We talk weather a lot because everything we do depends on what the weather does.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. I think, Bill, it's with respect to your questions about and how you guys talk about weather all the time. It's truly fascinating. And I mean this as genuinely as I can, how there are so many different opinions on the weather from each individual person or farmer or person that relies on weather. Everyone has a different take on it,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody has somebody they follow or something.
Well, and everybody's got their, some people, they have climate. Some people have farm blogs. Some people, it's got to be the National Weather Service Bureau. Other people, it's IntelliCast. Whatever it is. But there is so much information out there, and it's how you process and interpret that information. I think that really, and what you realize that weather, it's a science, but at the end of the day, it's still an educated guess. It can change. You guys can have it all figured out almost perfect, and something changes in the atmosphere just a little bit.
Yep.
And things change a lot, and it's not that you were wrong. You were right when you made your forecast. The problem is 5 minutes later, the atmosphere changed and now you're wrong.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
You may need somebody that's almost on call 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we have that. And at times, unfortunately, Bill, we have that option.
But, and you guys were talking the drought monitor and everything, and there's a lot of decisions made, especially at the federal government level, on the drought monitor because they think they don't have anything else to do it on. Of course, we raise cattle too, and so we have pasture, we have hay, and I'm telling you, you can look at the quality of your grass and you can determine more what's going on. And you know what? The average person can in their yard. If your grass is all brown, you got problems. If that grass is lush and green and you're tired of running a lawnmower, things are pretty good. And at the end of the day, I sometimes I get real simple. Just look at your grass. Just look at that pasture and see how that pasture's reacting, and that can tell you a lot about what has went on. Because you guys are exactly right. I mean, we are bone dry. We got little creeks that are dry. We got one pasture we never put cows on all year. Now we're raising a crop because we got timely rains. We're in that brown strip of D1 in central Illinois, but we got timely rains, not enough to raise crops, but not enough to put water in the little creek to water the cow.
Yeah, that's great perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you cannot get that perspective anywhere else.
No, for sure.
No.
There's no way.
Nah, I'm just a dumb old farm boy, guys. I'm not,
Well,
I just watch it. I tell you what, we put a lot of hay up too. And I've dropped hay based on a 5-day weather forecast. It's not going to rain. And 4 hours after that hay's laying on the ground, you guys are saying, hey, it's going to rain every day now this week.
Pop up from there you go. Yep.
But that happens. Not your fault. You're just telling me what you're seeing,
Yeah. And our primary with our business, Bill, what we do is we we purposely, or we intently very try stuff from happening to our clients. And the best thing is like you said, having that on-call feature where you can text or call a meteorologist and say, hey, I'm about to do this with the hay or for spray or whatever.
Next 4 hours.
You know, we can give you that guidance that's going to say, listen, we're really confident that you're going to get rained on or you're not, you know? So,
well, and you know, because I don't know these free apps and that, how often they're updated, if they're updated once a day or twice a day, or if they're just taking stuff from the National Weather Bureau and repackaging it. You really don't know. Now, if you're some guy that's just wanting to know, hey, I want to go golfing today, hey, that free app's probably okay, more than adequate for you.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're a commercial custom applicator that depends on a lot of this, you may want a little better information than what you're getting from a free app.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Bill. What I want to do, I got a couple of questions I'd like to ask you, and just kind of get your take on it. This kind of goes with the app and conversation. And this year on Twitter, we got a lot of folks who I felt like they genuinely thought we should be able to forecast weather down to their address or their zip code or their farm. Can you maybe from your perspective explain, do you think that it's because of those free apps, how they can say it can do that people believe it's possible?
Well, you're seeing this computerization and everything, and everybody thinks everybody can be perfectly accurate. And you know what? You toss a hand grenade, you toss a horseshoe, you're still not always going to be right there. And you know, last night we watched guys cutting beans around us, and it sprinkled a little bit on us where we were shelling corn. One outfit had to quit, another outfit a little bit away, they never stopped. It never rained on them. And you could watch that system kind of develop, you know, just light green on the radar, you know, just a little sprinkle showers. But you tell me exactly where that thing's going to go. I mean, us farmers get halfway decent looking at that stuff and kind of thinking how it's going to angle and not angle. But you tell me where it's, hey, half the field can get rained on, the other half doesn't, you know. And I've seen some research, and I think sometimes we got to go back to the future to see what it is, where they put, like, on a 40-acre field, they put 40 rain gauges up. And the university had some, you know, graduates or some students, you know, do that. There was 10 inches difference total of rain between the highest rain gauge and the lowest rain gauge on just 40 acres. And for your non-farming people out there, the average golf course has got about 80 acres of golf on an 18-acre hole, of grass and stuff. So just figure that there's 10 inches difference between the highest and the lowest on just half that golf course. Yeah, it's tough to do, guys. It is really tough to do what you do.
That is a great point. I mean, we all the time are like, you know, you could get an inch of rain across the street.
Yeah.
And
haves and have-nots. Yeah.
You know, we farm down in the river bottom, and I've watched it rain right up to the river and not cross it. Now, you tell me what's going on there. I don't know. but you know, it rains right up to that river, and it drops that water, and one side of the river's getting just pounded, and the other side, you know, clear as a bell. And you know, it's just and there's certain areas that we farm that always seems to catch the timely rains. And you know what, in the 2012 drought, my wife had a farm that the beans made 58 bushel an acre because it got a couple nice little July showers just kind of through a thin band there that just kind of runs through. And you know, it always rains there. I don't care what's going on. And you know what? They never get that big flood and rain in the spring. And then we got a farm that in the spring when you're planting, if there's a gully washer coming, it's going to get it. And in July when you need a rain, it's not going to get it.
Yeah.
And it's 6-7 miles away from the one that always gets the water.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of other stuff going on there that we probably don't understand yet, and we may never not understand it.
Absolutely.
But you guys are, you know, I'm like, okay, you're in the weather business. Break out the Ouija boards and you know, potions and everything else. And I'm not making fun of what you do, guys. I'm just saying, you know, for people to hold you accountable that, well, I was going to take off work today and go golfing, and you said it was going to be clear, and it rained. Well, if you look down at the bottom, you guys maybe said 10% chance of scattered showers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a clear day for 95% of the people out there.
Exactly. That is so true. That's great input, Bill. I appreciate that. The next thing I think that is weighing on people's minds, and before I ask this question, I want everyone to know that we don't forecast yields, we don't forecast market prices, we don't have a preference of which way it goes.
Nope.
But I've seen on Twitter over the last couple of weeks that yields are coming out better than expected. And when we look at this weather pattern over the summer, when crucial rains were needed in crucial spots, a lot of places got them. And it may have been a long-term overall drier summer, but from a meteorologist standpoint, it's been a heck of a lot drier.
Yeah.
And so we're just curious, Bill, if these yields being higher than expected, are you seeing that, or what's your take on that?
You know, we've shelled enough corn now. One of our poorest farms, little bit better yield than, or not a little bit, probably a third better yield than what I expected off of it. But if you go back and look, you know, every time a little shower came through, it got, you know, 6/10 where everybody else got 2 or 3/10. It just kind of got a little bit more each time. And you can raise a lot of crops on timely water. I mean, you go out to Kansas where these guys got restrictions on irrigation, and they're raising 200 bushel an acre corn on 12 inches of irrigated water, but they're putting it on exactly when they need it. And you know, I mean, they're doing perfect applications. The other thing is, if a rain comes in the evening, it lasts longer than a rain that comes in late morning, because you don't have all that. And if you look at it, we got a lot of evening showers this year, and that water's got all night to kind of get into the plant and get going, versus raining at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and by 5 o'clock it's all evaporated because it's 90 degrees out.
Right.
Exactly. There's so much goes into the actual timing. We're on our driest farm now, and would I like to see it yielded a little better? Yeah, but it's not the greatest soils in the world, and we're okay. But once again, though, we had decent water going into this crop year too. The soil had decent water to begin with. And you guys talk about making snow angels on the dirt. If we don't get good rains next year, we got problems, because we got nothing in the bank. There's nothing in the tank.
Sure.
It's all gone.
I tell you what, Bill, if I've ever been concerned for lack of rain in a growing season, it's next year. With the La Nina setting in, and we remember, I talked with Chip Flory about this on Market Rally. The 2012 drought started in 2011.
Oh yeah.
So your point is spot on. I mean, if we go into this La Nina, we need to be concerned next year that it could be pretty darn dry
to start out.
You know, you're starting to see now the major news media talk about, you know, that, well, I don't know if it was a Reuters or some Business Insider article, I don't know, but they were talking about, well, ag businesses really cooked their goose because they raised all these great genetics and all this great technology, and they got this huge glut, and farmers can't afford the stuff and everything else. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, about the time they write that article, we're going to get straightened out pretty quick. And 1987 was extremely dry, but we raised a decent crop. 88, we just didn't get the rains. 2011, we were drying out, but we still raised the crop. You know, I remember the boys and I putting up some fence in December of 11, because the ground wasn't froze because it was so dry. And we were drilling down with a post hole digger, and it was just powder coming up. I mean, to the point we were having to use buckets of water to pour to pack the dirt back in.
Jeez.
We couldn't pack that dry dirt, you know, and you know, you're sitting there going, we're in a crap storm of trouble. And yeah, I think you guys are exactly spot on. And I tell you what, though, everybody's going to look at this year and say, well, we raised a good crop without that much water. They don't need that much water. That's about the time you're going to get educated and surprised.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Like you said, putting it on at the perfect time.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't get it on there, you're up a creek without a paddle for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, this is how I do it. I tell somebody, okay, water half of your yard during the daytime, water the other half of your yard at night, and see which ones ends up being greener. I mean, it's you know, you lose a lot of water, and if I and we kind of keep track of that. You know, we had a number of small showers in, you know, late afternoon, early evening, and those stick around and do you more good than something in the middle of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I got one last question for you, Bill, and you know, one thing when you're talking about making decisions to cut hay and to spray things and whatever it is that you guys are doing on the farm, you're making some pretty big dollar decisions for your operation, your business, based on a weather forecast. How much credence or faith are you putting in that forecast to make, let's say, a couple $1,000 decision? I mean, what's your thought process when you've got to do something like that?
Well, at the end of the day, you just got to be comfortable where you're at. You got to trust the people you're looking at. We look at several sources, but I'll be honest with you. My wife, she didn't grow up on a farm, but she used to talk to a lot of these older farmer guys. Were really nice to her in teaching her some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually looks at some of the signs as much as she does anything else to not say what you guys are doing is right or wrong, but just kind of trying to back up along with what you're saying. And I know that's kind of getting the Ouija board out and everything else, but you know, you're kind of like, yeah, I've seen this set up before, and let's wait another day and see if they change that forecast. And you know what?
It's all pattern recognition. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you as an individual have to be smart, and you got to be comfortable with who you're dealing with. You know, if somebody's not comfortable with you guys, that's not a good fit. If they're real comfortable with you guys, that's a good fit, because they're going to call and talk to you more. They're going to get a feel. And you know what? After you get to know somebody too, you can sometimes tell in their voice if they're really confident of it or if they think that's kind of what's going to happen. Yeah. And I think the other thing, you know, I like weathermen that every now and then say, "Yep, got that one wrong, and here's why I got it wrong."
It's humbling.
You know? We had a forecast. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
So our September outlook, Bill, it didn't do that great, and you know, we started out September really cool. I mean, one of the coolest starts of September in years, and we flipped it, man, and now we're baking, as you well know. I mean, it's just baking out there.
Yeah.
And a flip to this magnitude was just not seen. No, we just didn't see it at the beginning of the month. And I think it is more valuable to even a client, or even if they're not a client, as we got this wrong. Here's why. You know, we missed the buck on this one, and here's what we got to do in the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? People also got to give you a break, because it is not, you know, 1 + 1 = 2 when you're doing weather. It's just not. And people's got to realize you guys aren't going to be right 100% of the time. That's all there is to it, and that's okay. And you know, I understand that, and you guys are, I mean, doing as good as you can, and you know, well, you know, you talk about thousands of dollars. Some of them are hundreds of thousands of dollars decisions. And, you know, I've seen it when the soil conditions are perfect and you thought this was the perfect time to run 24 hours a day and get that corn crop all planted. And then the weather turns off cold, wet, damp, and you get that cold, wet rain. And then you're out there replanting a bunch of corn and the rest of it's not really good stand and everything else. But, you know, and the stuff that you kind of maybe started on before the soil was quite right, that you kind of planted a little bit ugly, but it had that little bit warmer stretch, it looks really good. So you can be you can come out wrong for all the right reasons. And I think that's the weather people that are following you gotta or people that's gotta understand following weather people. You can be wrong for all the right reasons.
Absolutely.
And that's well, and you talk about the September weather. Just one last story, I'll let you guys go. We always breed some cows to have fall calves. Well, you don't want these cows having a calf when it's 90 degrees outside. So you're sitting there thinking, well, let's wait till about the 20th of September. It always cools off around the 20th of September, doesn't it, guys? We were out there putting fans on cows and watering them down and, trying to keep them cool to get their babies on the ground. And we did do that. But we should have had them have calves on Labor Day. It would have been cooler than what it was now.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that, Bill, because Jim Smith just tweeted me and said, one thing lost in a lot of ag weather impacts are the impacts on livestock and livestock farming. So that lines right up with what he's saying.
And I tell you what, guys, I got over a year and a half of hay on the ground right now, and I'm not selling any of it. And call me an old dumb farmer, but where you're talking about what's lining up for next year, we better have plenty of hay on the ground right now.
Absolutely.
Man, go ahead, guys.
Oh no, I was going to say the insight from you is much appreciated, and
helps us.
We really appreciate you coming on here, man, and sharing your wisdom with us.
I appreciate you guys letting me do it the first day. I feel honored. It's a great thing. I wish you guys all the luck in the world with this. I really, because I tell you what, we driving vehicles, moving around, doing other stuff. We do so much mindless stuff in our world. And today, with the technology got and this podcast and everything else, there's so much that you can do to educate yourself. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. You're exactly right, Bill. Hey, man, all
right, guys, we're going to let you go. All right.
Yeah, you have a wonderful day, man.
Thank you, Bill.
Hey, thank you, guys. I got to get back to work, or the boss, she's driving the combine. I got the grain cart shut off and got a semi sitting here in the field and cord on the grain cart, and I'll be in trouble with her. So, all right, guys. Hey, congrats on the podcast. Care, so, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Yep. Bye.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things is about the podcast is it puts a face with a name.
Yeah.
It can express how you really feel. You can interact with people. You can ask questions. It's very interactive.
Yeah. I mean,
no, go ahead, Mike.
No, I think, I think, with respect to Twitter this summer, so much can be misinterpreted on Twitter.
Yes.
You have 140 characters. It's very tough to decipher what people are saying, what they mean. I think that it's very important to be able to know the person and where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Explain yourself.
Yeah.
You'll never be able to do that on 140 characters.
I mean, we can say, hey, we got a threat for 2 inches of rain in central Indiana tonight. But we think it favors the northern half, and the risk is higher for less rain on the southern half of central Indiana. And you're only talking about 4 counties.
Right.
And here your weather app is like, 3.92 inches.
Bank on it.
74.6% chance of rain. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, what a load of, crap. So
next week when we do this, we should toss out a tweet and say, shoot us some questions and we'll
all week long
answer. Yeah, we'll answer them for you, and hopefully you like what we have to say. Maybe not.
Yeah, every Wednesday, guys, 11 a.m. Weather exposed. Today we exposed the fact that your crap apps are crap, and you cannot forecast down to a specific location, and that the rainfall analysis maps are ideas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Generalized ideas.
Yeah, we had a lot of exposure today. Yeah.
Yeah. It went really good. So I'll give it 2 more minutes. If anybody wants to tweet questions or complaints or compliments, anything.
Yeah, tell Kirk he's ugly, whatever you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, Kirk is.
I'll take it. I'm used to it. No, okay.
Normally, when something goes wrong, it's Kirk's fault.
Yeah.
I mean,
Why not?
it's
Yeah. Yep.
or if it's
Oh.
or it's Brian's fault. If something screws up technology wise, it's
Blame
Brian.
Brian. Yep.
You gotta own it.
That's right. Oh,
So Jim asked this: how can you handle pop-up showers in the summer forecast?
Well, it's a tough one.
That challenge-wise, I'd put that at the top of the
Yeah,
list to
it's,
answer those questions.
Yeah.
To answer questions, I'll put it to you this way: having the access to a meteorologist,
Yeah.
For a fee each month is the best way to handle that. Is texting or messaging that or calling that meteorologist.
Yeah.
Yep.
Saying,
I mean-
hey, where's it going to be?
Right.
You know, because sometimes a text an hour or two before, we're going to be able to say, listen, we're pretty confident.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Just-
It's just a huge value versus having to interpret it yourself. You can get a real time decision.
Yep.
It's major.
Yeah.
The biggest-
I mean,
Go ahead,
Go
Ed.
ahead. No, yeah. I mean, it's not like we're just going to tell you, oh, it's going to rain at 3:00. We're going to give you a window. We're going to give you coverage in percent. We're going to give you, our confidence level. So it's so much more than just, hey, Kirk, is it going to rain today? Yeah, it is. Okay, bye. No, there's a lot of and some of the clients that we have now, I consider them friends. We talk on a regular basis where, when Kirk's baby girl was born, I'm sure you had a lot of guys reaching out to you saying, oh, wow, she's beautiful,
Yeah.
XYZ,
Right.
it's so much more than just, the weather. It's that
A weather
personable
service. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And you get to know the person, their farm.
Yeah.
They can give you information about the weather they see, or you can get, what were the rainfall totals on this day.
Yep.
It really helps verify things. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times, like we were talking earlier with respect to those estimate rainfall maps, right? I've had guys message me at 4 a.m. They wake up to the sound of rain and they check their gauge. They tell me, Ed, we saw 0.86 inches of rain and our map showing 1.5 inches. And we can go out there. We can say, these are going to be a little off based on the reports we have. So it's a two-way street. I think it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yep, absolutely. It's a great question, Jim. So, I mean, if the pop-ups are there, have the connection to the right people to manage through that. Pop-ups
Now,
are a real bear.
Was that question based on like just a typical forecast or like the seasonal forecast? I wasn't
Well,
sure.
it just says how can you handle the pop-up popcorn shower in the summer forecast?
You just got to relay it in the forecast.
I mean, yeah. Just
Yeah.
that's why I think our videos are really cool, because we can kind of explain ourselves kind of like what we're doing right here. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yep.
Good stuff.
Definitely.
Great
Yep.
question,
Thanks,
Jim.
Jim. Thank you very much. Couple more, 30 more seconds. We'll wrap it up. Let's see here. We got actually the drought maps long-term last fall indicated. Okay. So, all right, guys. That does it for episode 1 of Weather Exposed. Okay. And I've got to do this. I'll figure out how to do it the right way.
Before you do it, tweet us your questions at BAMWX Podcast. Use the hashtag. We'll review them for next week.
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
no question is a stupid question.
With
No
that,
question.
we sign off with
Yes,
the Ring of Fire.
that's right.
Johnny
Take care,
Cash.
guys.
Episode 1, Weather Exposed. See you, bye.